Andrew.
How do you do with you?
You look a good deal older.
I am somewhat older. Time has stood still with me.
Rubbish. This is your family.
Is it so large? I'm very sorry to say, but my memory has been failing at some things.
How do you do?
I see you're my eldest. I am very glad to see you, my son.
No, but don't you know? Oh, I say.
Andrew, do you mean to say you don't remember how many children you have?
Well, I must admit that well, they've grown so much since, I must confess, I do recollect only having one son, but since, of course.
Andrew, you are being absurd. Of course you only have one son. That is Charles Lomax, engaged to Sarah.
My dear sir, may I beg your pardon?
Not at all. Delighted, I assure you.
This is Stephen.
Happy to be acquainted with you, Mr. Stephen. This must be my son. How are you, my young friend? Looks very much like you, my dear.
You flatter me, Mr. Undershaft. My name is Cousins, engaged to Major Barbara. This is Major Barbara of the Salvation Army. That is Sarah, your second daughter. And this is Stephen Undershaft, your son.
My dear Stephen, may I beg your pardon?
Not at all.
Mr. Cousins, I am much in debt to you for explaining so precisely. Barbara, my dear.
Sarah.
Sarah. Barbara, I suppose I have the right this time?
Quite right. Sit down, all of you. Sit down, Andrew.
Thank you, my love.
Takes you some time to find out exactly where you are, don't it?
That is not what embarrasses me, Mr. Lomax. You see, my problem is that if I play the part of a concerned father, I shall produce the effect of a intrusive stranger. But if I play the part of a discreet stranger, I shall seem as though I am a callous father.
There's no need for you to play any part at all, Andrew. You had much better be sincere and natural.
Yes, my dear. I dare say that will be the best. Well, here I am. Now, what would you like me to do for you all?
You need not do anything. You're part of the family. You may sit with us and enjoy yourself. Charles Lomax, if you can behave yourself, behave yourself. If not, leave the room.
I'm awfully sorry, Lady Britt, but really, upon my soul.
Why don't you laugh if you want to, Charlie? It's good for your insides.
Barbara, you have had the education of a lady. Please let your father see that and don't talk like a street girl.
Never mind me, my dear. As you know, I am not a gentleman, nor have I ever had any education.
Nobody know it, I assure you. You look alright,
Let me advise you to study Greek, Mr. Undershaft. Greek scholars are privileged men. Few will know Greek and nothing else. But their position is unchallengeable. Other languages are the qualifications of waiters and commercial travelers. Greek is to man's position what the landmark is to silver.
Totally, don't be insincere. Charlie, why don't you fetch your concertina and play something for us?
Perhaps that sort of thing isn't in your line, eh?
I am particularly fond of music.
Are you? Then I'll get it.
Do you play, Barbara?
Only tambourine. But Charlie's teaching me how to play the concertina.
Is Charlie also a member of the Salvation Army?
No. He says it's bad to be a dissenter. But I don't despair of Charlie. He came to a meeting yesterday at the dock and he put some money into the hat.
It is not my doing, Andrew. Barbara is old enough to take her own way. She doesn't have a father to advise her.
Yes, I have. There's no orphans in the Salvation Army.
I suppose your father there has quite a bit of children and experience, eh?
Just so. How do you figure that?
Come in, Charles, and play something at once.
Righto!
One moment, Mr. Lomax. I am rather interested in the Salvation Army. I see it has the same model as my own. Blood and fire.
But not your sort of blood and fire,
My sort of blood cleanses. My sort of fire purifies.
So do ours. Come down tomorrow to my shelter, the West Ham shelter, and see what we're doing. We're going to march to a great meeting in the assembly hall at Mile End. Just come see the shelter and then march with us. It'll do you a lot of good. Can you play anything?
In my youth, I used to earn pennies, shillings occasionally, performing in the streets and in public houses by my natural talent for step dancing. But later on, I joined the Undershaft Orchestral Society, and I performed passively on the tenor trombone.
Oh, I say.
Many a sinner have played themselves into heaven on the trombone, thanks to the army.
Yes, but what about the canon business? Getting into heaven isn't exactly in your line, don't you know?
Charles!
Well, but it stands to reason, don't it? The canon business may be a necessity. We can't go on without canons. But it isn't right. There may be a certain amount of tosh about the Salvation Army. I belong to the established church myself, but still, you can't deny that it's religion. And you can't go against religion, can you? Not unless you're downright immoral, don't you know?
I don't think you quite appreciate my position, Mr. Lomax.
Well, the more destructive war becomes, the sooner it'll be abolished, eh?
Not at all. The more destructive war becomes, the more fascinating we find it. No, Mr. Lomax. I'm obliged to you for making the usual excuse for my trade. But I am not ashamed of it. I am not one of those men who keep their businesses and morals in watertight compartments. You see, the money my trade rivals spend on churches and hospitals and other receptacles for conscious money, I devote to experiments and researches on improved methods of destroying life and property. I have always done so, and I always shall. Therefore, your Christmas card moralities of goodwill among men and of peace on earth are of no use to me. Your Christianity, which enjoins you to resist not evil and to turn the other cheek, would make me a bankrupt. My religion, my moralities, should have a place for cannons and torpedoes in it.
You speak as if there are half a dozen moralities and religions to choose from, when there's only one true morality and one true religion.
For me, there is only one true morality, but it does not fit you as you do not manufacture aerial battleships. There is only one true morality for every man, but not every man has the same true morality.
Would you mind saying that again? I didn't quite follow it.
It's quite simple. As Euripides says, one man's meat is another man's poison morality as well as physicality.
Oh yes. Yes. True.
Bosh! They're no scoundrels.
Indeed? Are there any good men?
No, not one. They're neither good men nor scoundrels. They're just children of one father, and the sooner they stop calling one another names, the better. You needn't talk to me, I know them. I've had scores of them come through my hands. Scoundrels, criminals, infidels, philanthropists, missionaries, county councillors, all sorts, and they're all just the same sort of sinner. But there's the same salvation ready for them all.
May I ask, have you ever saved a maker of cannons?
No. Will you let me try?
Well, I will make a bargain with you. If I come to see you tomorrow at your Salvation Shelter, will you come to see me the day after in my cannon works?
Take care. It may end up in you giving up the cannons for the sake of the Salvation Army.
Are you sure it will not end up in your giving up of the Salvation Army for the sake of the cannons?
I will take my chance of that.
And I will take my chance of the other. Where is your shelter?
In West Ham, at the sign of the cross. Ask anyone in Canning Town. Where are your works?
In Perryvale, St. Andrews, at the sign of the sword. Ask anybody in Europe.
Hadn't I better play something?
Yes, give us Onward, Christian Soldier.
Well, that's rather a strong order to begin with, don't you know? Suppose I play Thou art passing hence, my brother. It's much the same tune.
It's too melancholy. You get saved, Charlie, and you'll pass hence, my brother, without making such a fuss about it.
Really, Barbara, you go on about religion as if it were a pleasant subject. Do have some sense of propriety.
I do not find it unpleasant, my dear. It is the only subject that capable people care for.
Well, if you are determined to have it, I insist on having it in a proper and respectable manner. Charles, ring for prayers.
Oh, I say!
I'm afraid I must be going now.
You cannot leave now, Andrew. It would be most improper. Sit down. What will the servants think?
My dear, I have conscientious scruples. May I suggest a compromise? If Barbara will conduct a service in the drawing room and have Mr. Lomax as the organist, I will attend accordingly. I will even take part in it if a trombone will be procured.
Don't mock me, Andrew.
You don't think I am mocking, do you, my love?
No, of course not. It wouldn't matter if you were. Half of the army came to their first meeting for a lark. Come along. Come, Dolly, come, Charlie.
I will not be disobeyed by everybody. Adolphus, sit down. Charles, you may go. You are not fit for prayers. You cannot keep your countenance.
Oh, I say.
But you, Adolphus, can behave yourself if you choose to.
My dear Lady Britt, there are many things in the prayer book that I won't allow you to say.
What things, pray?
Well, you would have said before all the servants that we have done things we ought not have done and left things we should have done, and that there is no health in us. I cannot hear you doing yourself with such an injustice and bar with such an injustice. As for me, I flatly deny. I have done my best. I shouldn't dare to marry Barbara. I couldn't look you in the face. I need to go back to the drawing board.
Well, go. And remember this, Adolphus. I have a very strong suspicion that you went to the Salvation Army to worship Barbara and nothing else. I quite appreciate the way that you systematically humbug me. I have found you out. Take care that Barbara doesn't. That is all.
Don't tell on me, okay?
Sarah, if you want to go, go. Anything's better than you sitting here wishing that you were 1,000 miles away.
Very well, Mama.
Mother, what's the matter?
Nothing. Foolishness. You can go with them too if you'd like, and leave me here with the servants.
Oh, you mustn't think that, Mother. I don't like him.
The others do. That's the injustice of a woman's lot. A woman has to bring up her children, and that means to restrain them, to deny them the things they want, to punish them when they do wrong, to do all the unpleasant things. And then the father, who has done nothing but pat them on the back and spoil them, comes in when all the work is done and steals away their affections.
He hasn't stolen our affection. It is only curiosity.
I will not be consoled, Stephen. There is nothing the matter with me.
Where are you going, Mother?
To the drawing room. Aren't you coming?
No, certainly not.